We all have those sleepless, restless nights where you just can't sleep. Tossing, turning, you know, trying to flip the pillow back and forth, and nothing's working. Yeah, that was kind of me last night. I was sitting there and I was just not able to sleep. My eyes were closed. I was breathing just fine or anything. I'm not nervous, like for any reason. I'm not excited. Got nothing going on tomorrow. There should be no reason for me to be awake right now. But yet it's like 1 in the morning and I'm like trying to sleep. This tends to happen to a lot of people for a lot of reasons. I mean, it could be you're staying up on your screens at night. It could be what you're eating before you go to bed, or maybe not doing anything throughout the day, kind of just staying up all day doing nothing, sitting around, and that's the reason you're not tired because you didn't do anything like physically tiring throughout the day. But for this one occasion for me, I'm not sure what it was. I mean, I went to bed after brushing my teeth and I was all cleaned up after I got my shower, got my PJs on, and I'm like, about to hop into bed. I quickly read the Bible for a little bit, just to kind of soak that in, because I know reading is good before you go to bed. So I, finally rest my head on the pillow, right? And I get in my comfortable spot that I always get into. I always get into this one spot that's like really comfortable on my stomach, facing my head like on the right side, and hugging like a side pillow. And so I close my eyes, just expecting it to be another normal night, like where I'll go to sleep and boom, I'll wake up. But I sit there for like 30 minutes and nothing happens. And it's you've been there before. Everyone's been there. And you're just sitting there and you're like, all right, well, what now? Like, what am I supposed to do now? You toss to the other side. You turn your head to the other side and try to sleep, but not even that's working. You're just sitting there. And you're kind of like, well, frick, like, what am I supposed to do? And you toss to the other side. You flip the pillow. You take off the covers because maybe it's hot. For me, it was not hot. It was just normal. It felt fine. But I just couldn't sleep. And so I got up eventually and just, read some random book that I had on my bookshelf, because the goal is to not look at screens, because I know for a fact that that's not good for you. And so I, was open some book and I started reading it. After reading it for quite some time, I finally was like, all right, now I should be good. Now it's time to fall back asleep and I'll be great. So again, I rest my head back on the pillow and I'm like, all right, here we go. Close my eyes and I don't sleep. Now, this goes on for about all the way till 3 in the morning. And it's pretty bad. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty bad. And so I somehow fall asleep, but I had to wake up at like 8 in the morning. So I only got like 5 hours of sleep. Dude, when I tell you like I was wrecked, man, I was like destroyed. Like I had no energy in me and I had to get a coffee. And it's one of these things where it becomes a repeating cycle. So you drink coffee in the morning to feel awake, and then you go back to bed the next day, but you're exhausted again. But you also still have that like little dose of caffeine in you, so you're kind of like also wide awake at the same time. So you're kind of stuck between like a rock and a hard place in a sense, because you're trying to sleep, but at the same time you have this caffeine in you. And that happened to me for like a week. This actually happens routinely for me. I don't know if it's normal or not, where like you're awake, but you're like trying to sleep at the same time, and you just cannot sleep for like hours. And this type of event is actually kind of normal for me. It happens like once every month or so, which I don't think is normal. Eventually, after these patterns keep happening, I did some little bit of research to figure out what the problem was. I learned that chocolate's definitely not good for you before bed, but I wasn't eating chocolate, so I was like, that's not the issue. And so the biggest culprit I found in my small amount of research is screens, ironically. So what you're watching this on. Basically, it was saying something along the lines of, don't watch screens like 30 minutes to an hour before bed. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time sleeping because your mind's going to be stimulated. Quotation mark, stimulated. Which it might be true, but it's weird because it only happens sometimes. Like, sometimes I'll be fine. Like, I'll go watch a YouTube video, then boom, I'll go to bed. And I'll be fine. Or sometimes, like, I won't be fine. And it's just weird. There's, like, no pattern that I can track it with. It just happens randomly sometimes. Speaking of sleep, back when I was playing basketball for my senior season, which is now over, unfortunately, I had a buddy who was driving to practice, but he, like, fell asleep while driving. He's okay. And he didn't get in a wreck, ironically, but he, like, fell asleep while at the wheel, which is just insane. And there was nobody else in the car, so it was just him. And truthfully, I don't know how he didn't get in a wreck, but he just told me that. He was like, hey, like, I fell asleep while I was at the wheel today. And I was like, dude, what? Like, no, you didn't. But he was like, yeah, and this is, like, the second time it's happened. And my mind was like, second time? Like, dude, that's not good. Like, that is not good, falling asleep at the wheel like that. It's never happened to me, but, like, I could imagine it happening to some people. And, dude, it's scary. Because it's scary for you as the driver and scary for everybody else on the road. But I feel like nowadays, people don't get enough sleep, that they need to. Like, they wake up tired. And partial of that is, to blame on yourself. Like, you could have went to bed earlier, most likely. But at the same time, it's like, you just end up staying up watching YouTube videos or watching whatever on the TV, and you end up staying up way later than you thought. But it's just not healthy. Like, typically people probably need to get like 8 hours of sleep. The more sleep we get as a society, the happier we'll be. That definitely actually translates. And I'm no scientist, but I do know that after waking up after a good amount of sleep, that I feel great the next day. And I'm like, man, like I'm alive. And I don't even need that coffee that I had earlier. Also, there's some things that I've read online where it talks about sleep correlated with muscle growth. And for those people who are interested in going to the gym, you need to listen up. So basically, if you sleep for like 8 hours plus, your muscle growth is like gonna be insane. But if you don't sleep like at all, you're not gonna really grow any muscles from the workout that you did. Like, workouts stimulate the muscle, but it actually grows when you like go to sleep and you eat healthy. That's what I've learned. Last thing I want to add here is that what you do throughout the day definitely helps you sleep at night. Like, if you do nothing throughout the entire day, for example, like you sit on the couch, eat your little candy, and you watch TV, watch some YouTube, watch your favorite YouTuber, and you're doing literally nothing and you're just kind of a couch potato, then you're definitely not going to sleep as good as you would have felt after going on like a run, like a 5K, or going to the gym and hitting like a really hard workout, hitting leg day, hitting upper body, playing basketball, doing a sport, or doing something physical. Like, doing physical activities, I know from personal experience, really helps you sleep, because when you hit the pillow, you're like, boom, I'm out, man. Like, don't bother me. Like, I'm asleep now. And you go to sleep so much faster. For those still watching, would you consider hitting the subscribe button? We have a channel goal of trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, so it would really mean the world if you could help me out here. And I love you guys. See you in the next one. Peace.